may have all been hit by M240 mortars at one point or another. Second answer, to destroy cities. Apartment buildings in Grozny, Beirut and Homs didn't destroy themselves. This article will look at both the vehicle and its main weapon. The 30-ton 2S4 makes its M240 heavy mortar to attract GMZ vehicle chassis used in numerous other self-propelled weapons systems. The crew of 9, 4 vehicle operators and 5 gunners, is protected by up to 20 mm of armor, adequate protection against small arms and shrapnel. Though the terrifying barrel of the M240 is pointed forward when the vehicle is on the march, when deployed the mortar's base plate is flipped over the back of the vehicle onto the ground so that the tube points upward and away. Each shot makes the entire vehicle ring like a giant bell. Unlike most mortars, the M240 is a breech-loaded weapon. It can fire massive 221-pound F864 high-explosive projectiles, each 1.5 meters long and comparable in weight to small aerial bombs, at targets over 9 kilometers away. With rocket-assisted projectiles, the range can increase up to 20 kilometers. However, the M240's rate of fire is just 1 round per minute. Unlike a shot from a howitzer, mortar rounds plunge downward on a near-vertical trajectory, and are therefore effective for shooting over the walls of fortifications, down into cave mouths, on the far sides of mountains and piercing through the roofs of buildings. The M240 mortar can fire a variety of special-purpose rounds for these purposes. Concrete-piercing shells are designed to shatter bunkers, while pseudo-incendiary projectiles set buildings aflame. A nuclear 3B11 shell also exists. The 2S4 was deployed at high-level nuclear artillery brigades during the Cold War. Recently, Syrian towed M240 mortars were identified firing cluster munitions in action for the first time. A rocket-assisted 308 Nerpa cargo shell which deployed 14-010 parachute submunitions was identified as having struck a school in session in the suburbs of Damascus. The 2S4 also can fire the 276-pound Smelchak Daredevil shell, which is guided by a separate laser designator. Detailed accounts of combat in Afghanistan describe using the Smelchak to drop shells precisely over fortress walls and into fortified cave entrances. Daredevil rounds offer a significant ability to hit point targets after just 1 or 2 ranging rounds, though the targeting system requires optimal atmospheric conditions. The Syrian army is currently using towed M240 mortars in its sieges of rebel-held cities. Reports on its use in the indiscriminate bombardment of Homs gained extensive media attention in 2012. Claims that 2S4 vehicles were used appear to be inaccurate. Previously, the mortars had also gained infamy for killing hundreds in bombardments of Beirut during the 1980s, the shells powerful enough to pierce the roofs of concrete shelters. Russia maintains just 1 active battalion of 8 2S4s in service, with over 400 in reserve. In 2000, Tyulpans played a prominent role in the siege of Grozny in the Second Chechen War, systematically leveling the city from afar according to one analyst. 127 targets were reported destroyed by Daredevil laser-guided rounds. Altogether the Russian army claims to have killed 1,500 separatist fighters in Grozny in a siege believed to have killed over 16 times as many civilians. Unlike other Russian artillery systems, the 2S4 was not exported within the Warsaw Pact, with the exception of a small number of vehicles briefly serving in the Czech army. Curiously enough, however, 2S4s were spotted in Ukraine in July 2014 by OS drones. It seems that in the Russian army you can take your siege mortars with you when you volunteer abroad. At least 4 mortars are reported being used in support of Russian separatists. The tulips established a reputation for themselves in the sieges of 2 strong points held by Ukrainian army forces in 2014, the airports of Luhansk and Donetsk. In both cases, their bombardments collapsed airport terminals onto their foundations, forcing defenders to retreat from positions they had held for months. Ukrainian Defense Minister